Hi everyone, Stepan here. First of all, I want to say thank you for all the advice you've been giving me about buying a new laptop and all the technical info. I've made a separate folder in which I've put all the advice and I've started researching everything you mentioned. I'm completely ignorant when it comes to laptops for now, but I feel that my ELO rating in technical skills has gone up significantly since I've read all of your comments. Once again, thanks a lot. I've taken them all into consideration and I've started researching everything and making a list of things which my new PC or laptop, I still haven't decided whether it's going to be a desktop or laptop, is going to require. So yeah, thanks a lot. Sorry if I haven't been answering all the comments. I have read them and taken them into consideration. Also, thank you for the support, everybody. I have an announcement to make, well, two actually. Today I'm going to publish the next tournament I'm going to be playing on Patreon, and I would like to invite you all. Well, I think this is a better way to tell you where I'm going to play next instead of a Patreon post. And all of you who are supporting me on Patreon, I would like to invite you, if you can, if you live in Europe, it's going to be in Europe, to join me there and to meet me. We can prepare for the games together, play the tournament together. I think that would be really fun. I've already arranged for two of you to play the tournament with me. I think it's going to be great fun to meet you guys and, well, to see you in a regular chess environment. So today I'm going to publish where I'm going to play next. And the next thing is, since I've been moving to a new flat, well, today we are sort of, we are not finishing yet, we are now painting it over and cleaning and stuff like that, but I'm going to be over with all that stuff by tomorrow, and I'm going to start recording theory again. And since I have a goal to increase my classical lichess rating and I don't want to be playing 15-minute games, I would like to do something, and here's what it is. Every day I'm going to record one theoretical video. I'm still finishing the Grunfeld series, and I'm going to continue with the F3 anti-Grunfeld tomorrow. Then, and sorry for not answering that comment, I know you have a tournament coming up and you want the Moscow system in the Grunfeld. That's going to come on Wednesday, so the day after tomorrow. And after that, I'm going to continue the Grunfeld series. And on Patreon today, I'm going to publish my whole recording schedule for theory. And it's going to be at least for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I would like to invite you all to arrange training games with me on Patreon. And I'm going to play a training game in the variation that I'm recording that day. So tomorrow I'm recording the F3 anti-Grunfeld. I'm going to play a training game in the F3 anti-Grunfeld. Now, whoever comments on the post on Patreon and arranges a game with me, I'm going to play you. Your ELO doesn't matter. It would be nice if you actually play the variation. I would like to invite you guys, whoever is playing the Grunfeld with black or the F3 anti-Grunfeld, to challenge me for tomorrow's game. Once again, you can find the schedule on the Patreon page. The link is in the description. And I'm going to do that every day. And I think that playing one training game every day is necessary for me. I also think that it's necessary to increase the time control, so not 15 plus 15. That's the only thing I can find instantly on lichess. So I would like to arrange a longer time control training games in the variation that I'm recording. So from now on, until October 11th, except on Sundays, which are now my days off, I'm going to be recording one theoretical video and one training game in the variation that I'm covering that day. I think that's going to help with the understanding of the variation, mine and yours, and I think it's going to be pretty fun to have a game to compare the video with. And also, last thing, I cleaned my laptop. It took me a long time. I had a friend help me with some of that stuff. It took me a long time to do that, but I managed to make it work better. So I think it's going to survive until I buy a new one, and I'm going to get back to with that when I decide and come up with enough money to buy one. Okay, sorry for the digressions. Let's play a training game. Once again, my goal is to reach 2100 on Lichess Classical by October 1st. And let's continue with that quest. We have a game. My opponent is over 2000 and I have the white pieces, so that's good. Both things good. And we have a Sicilian now. Open Sicilian or closed Sicilian. I'm going to play the open. Join the correspondence game in the community tab if you haven't. We are playing an interesting closed Sicilian over there. It's close to a draw now, as some of you have said. I think it's pretty equal, but I have a structural advantage which I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm not going to give you a draw. Okay, so e6. I'm going to play the Kramnik Sicilian with c4. Apparently he knows the variation. Okay, the worst case scenario for me is to have doubled c-pawns and for him to give up his dark squared bishop. And I'm not afraid of that. Now knight f6, knight c3, bishop b4, knight takes c6, b takes c6, bishop d3 is the main line. He wants to attack my e4 pawn indirectly. I have to take and then defend with bishop d3. And then he can choose to take on c3, double my pawns, and or not. So yeah, we are playing the main line, which is good. This variation should be equal. And okay, a funny thing happened to me in Split Open 2018. Had this exact same position against a French player. I think he was 16 or 1700, I don't remember. You have the game is on the channel. In this position I took cd5 and he took cd5, which is unfortunate because queen a4 wins the bishop. The c6 knight is no longer there, which is, well, unfortunate for him. I'm guessing this one isn't going to take with the c-pawn. Yeah. Okay, now I castle. Taking on e4 doesn't really work. I can take with the knight. Now I could take on d5 and leave him with an isolated pawn, and I'm going to do that. Yeah, okay. Now we are playing against an isolated queen's pawn. My opponent has the bishop pair, same as me, and I want to set up a blockade on d4. That's going to be my goal here. And it's time that I start thinking. Yeah, still there are noises coming from my laptop. This is the first video I've recorded since the crash that happened yesterday. For those of you who aren't reading Patreon posts, my laptop actually died when I was trying to design the PDF for that day, and I couldn't get it to work until yesterday. So yeah, still some noises, but it's not as bad, and it's warm. It's not hot. The day before yesterday, I couldn't put my finger on the A key or any of the first three numbers because it was too hot near the cooler. Now it's okay. Okay, so a blockade on d4. Now, my goal here should be to trade off all the pieces. If I manage to trade off the pieces, I'm going to be better because of his structural disadvantage. I'm looking at knight e2. My knight isn't that good on c3. Knight e2, if he pushes d4, I can take it, because if queen d4, bishop h7 check wins the queen. And my next goal is going to be knight d4 and probably bishop d2, trying to trade off the dark squared bishop. My goal is always to remove the defender of the blockade. So if I'm going to blockade on a dark square, I want to get rid of his dark squared bishop. Now, should I be moving my knight for the second time? Rook e1 seems like a pretty bad move, walking into a pin. Then d4 is actually dangerous. a3, I don't want to allow bishop takes c3, although giving up the bishop pair isn't really smart in this open position. But I'm not sure I want to allow him to isolate my pawns. I think that if I manage to create a blockade on d4, my 2-to-1 pawn advantage is going to be significant on the queen side. What are his attacking prospects like? if I play knight e2, he has some ideas of knight g4 or bishop g4 and then queen h4, which could be dangerous. I could play bishop d2 first. If knight e2, is bishop g4 dangerous? h3 then? Is knight g4 dangerous? I don't think so. I'm just going to play this strategic idea of blockading the d4 square. For now, bishop e3 is not possible because knight g4, so probably h3 if he doesn't play bishop g4 now. If he plays bishop g4, I might play h3 anyway. Okay, this move I'm pretty happy to see. He's stopping me from developing my bishop, which is fine, but I do gain a tempo with a3 b4, which also expands my queen side. And if he goes to d6, am I afraid of knight g4, of queen h4? Well, I'm just going to play a3 first and try to chase his bishop away at least one square. See if he should go to d6. He could also try, yeah. Now, I believe I should play h3 just to stop knight g4 to be able to play bishop e3 after b4. He does have the e5 square, but yeah, h3 should be a sensible move. Rook b1, b4, b4 immediately, bishop e5, rook b1. Is a5 a threat? No, because I have b5. Is bishop e3 better? First, no, I lose the b2 pawn. So, okay, rook b1. Okay, yeah, rook b1 is a horrible move because I lose my a3 pawn. So b4, if bishop e5, rook b1. b4 if bishop e5, rook b1. b4 if something else, bishop e3, and the blockade on d4. Once again, I'm going for the blockade on the dark square on b4. I want to blockade the passed pawn. As Nimzowitsch says, passed pawns should be kept under lock and key. They are criminals. Rook b1. Next move, bishop e3. Next move, knight d4. The best piece to blockade with is a knight, always, because the knight from its blockading square also has a lot of scope. My knight from d4 is going to be controlling c6 and e6, which are really important squares. If he plays d4 now, I still have bishop h7, so let's look at that. e3, d4, knight d4, bishop d4, bishop d4, queen d4, bishop h7 check, king h7, queen takes d4, winning the queen. So bishop e3 should be the best move. He doesn't have time to stop the blockade. Knight g4 has been stopped because of h3. So yeah, knight d4 is my next move. I'm just trying to play sensible chess and sensible plans in this middle game. I have a structural advantage. I obviously do want to trade off the bishops because my advantage is going to increase if I do that. Now, knight d4 makes sense. If bishop h3, gh3, queen h3, that could be a problem. But I then have knight f3 defending h2, and then he has knight g4. Is that dangerous? Knight d4, bishop h3, gh3, queen h3, threatening checkmate on h2. I cannot play f4 because my bishop on e3 is hanging, so I have to play knight f3. If he plays knight g4, he is still not threatening checkmate, but he can play bishop h2 check, king h1. Moves the bishop check, he has a perpetual check there. So knight d4 would allow bishop h3, which is not good. Now if I play bishop d4, okay, bishop d4, bishop h3, gh3, queen h3, bishop e5, wins his bishop. If bishop e5, knight e5, he doesn't threaten checkmate. If he then plays knight g4, I can play knight f3, and my knight is defended, and I'm defending h2. So once again, knight d4 loses to bishop h3, I think. Bishop d4 If bishop h3, gh3, queen h3, bishop e5, knight g4 attacks my bishop, attacks h2 with a checkmate threat, but I can play knight f3. He then has queen g4 check, and I can play king h1, and he once again has a perpetual check. No, he doesn't. Wait, because my bishop is on e5 now. Bishop d4, bishop h3, gh3, queen h3, bishop e5, knight g4, threatening checkmate, threatening the bishop. What I can do then is play something like bishop g3, and then my bishop is defending the checkmate and is not attacked. So bishop d4 should be a good move. Knight d4 didn't work because of bishop h3. I don't want to draw, obviously. I want to go for a win. I have the white pieces. I have a structural advantage. If I can trade off this bishop, I'm fairly happy. Obviously, I did want my knight on d4, but what can you do? Now, if he moves his bishop, I can seriously consider taking on f6, because he isn't going to have enough firepower for this sacrifice on h3 without his knight being able to come to g4. And bishop h3 now doesn't work. Although if he takes on d4 first, bishop d4, knight d4, bishop h3, gh3, queen h3, knight f3, knight g4, everything is defended, but he then has a perpetual check. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think he can take on d4 and play bishop h3. Yeah, and I would like to give a shout out to Zibit. Thank you for all the comments and all the feedback. I really appreciate that, and I take everything you say seriously, and I take it into consideration immediately. Obviously, to have a FIDE master give advice like that is incredibly useful, and I completely agree with you. The last game I played in the Semislav, I blundered tactically on several occasions. I also misjudged the move e5, as you pointed out. Nakamura has played it. I have been trying to find the games, didn't get enough time to go over them yet, but I will try to. So everybody, if you don't know Zibit's chess channel, run by Ingvar, an Icelandic FIDE master and a chess coach, do check it out. All the games he plays over there are really instructive. He also has instructive series on pattern recognition. So Zibit's chess channel, search it in YouTube. Subscribe to Zibit's channel. It's great. He is one of my favorite YouTubers and has been since I've started. And I have been following him since I've started this. A lot of things to learn from Zibit. Well, he has to be considering bishop h3. There's nothing else to calculate here. If he takes on d4 first, that should be a perpetual check at best for him. If he takes on h3, yeah, if he takes on h3, I don't have to take on h3. I can just take the e5 bishop. And so once again, I'm going to be publishing. Okay, this I'm extremely happy to see this. I don't understand this move. I don't understand this move at all. Do I have to move? Do I have to do anything about this? Don't I just win the exchange? Help me out here, somebody. Bishop c5. The only threat I can see, the only forcing move I can see is bishop h2 check. King h1. If he takes on h3, I take the queen. Am I missing a beautiful sacrifice mate here or something? Bishop c5. The only forcing move he has is bishop h2 check. King h1 is the only move. Bishop h3, I take the queen. He has a check on g2. King g2, no checkmates. Bishop c5. If he plays bishop h3 immediately, I take the queen. Bishop c5. If he... I don't see it. Bishop c5. Bishop h2, king h1. Moves the queen. I don't even have to take the rook. I can just play g3. I'm going to play it to make sure I don't get too low on time. I really don't believe this exchange sacrifice. I just don't believe it. I'm not sure if he probably blundered because he didn't move instantly. But yeah, as I said, I just don't believe this. I think he should have tried bishop d4, knight d4, bishop h3. That seemed interesting. This is just a blunder. I'm just going to take the exchange. And if I develop here, he has nothing. So yeah, should I be playing f4? Probably yes. Just to stop any checkmate threats. Now bishop h3 is a threat again. So f4 does make a lot of sense. Do I weaken too many squares there? I don't think so, because my next move is going to be knight d4, trying to take his bishop. So okay, f4 moves the bishop to d6, knight d4. He cannot save the bishop, so I either bishop f5 takes, queen takes, or taking f takes and double pressure on my f4 pawn, but queen d2. So yeah, I'm going to do that. Now I also can include my rook into the defense and my queen if he takes on h3. So I'm happy. Okay, that was a horrible blunder. Why the hell did I do that? Ugh, I hate myself sometimes. No, that wasn't a blunder. I have f5. I have f5. Oh, I'm so lucky sometimes. What? But still, I mean, this is just atrocious. f5, he loses the bishop. f5 takes the rook, I take on e6. No, I don't take on e6 because he has bishop e3 check. f5 takes the rook, takes the bishop. The bishop is still hanging, rook c8, queen d2. So okay, I'm just going to play it f5. Yeah, I was lucky on this one. An undeserved stroke of luck. I completely missed that I lose the exchange. I mean, it's just... This might seem... Probably to my opponent, this seems, oh wow, he saw f5. And no, not true. Missed bishop b2 completely. Yeah, and he resigned. Yeah, I'm not happy about this game. I'm going to record another one because this is an undeserved win. So new opponent. So once again, guys, if you want to play me in the variations that I'm going to record, head on over to Patreon. Thanks for the support if you do decide to support me. You can find the post there with my recording schedule, and let's arrange a game. I'm playing somebody much lower rated, which I'm happy to see, 1700, and he plays the Exchange Caro-Kann. Ugh. Okay. Do I go with Queen C7? I faced this in the last round of Novi Sad, and I was worse than I was better. Then I blundered with 1 minute on the clock, left the whole rook. I'm not going to play Queen C7, I'm going to play Knight C6. Knight F6. Bishop F4 makes sense. Do I go for Bishop G4 here? Bishop G4, Queen B3, Queen C8 is what I normally play. But I think I kind of want to go for G6, Bishop G7, and the minority attack if possible. And then Knight H5. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to play E5 in one move if I can. If Queen D2, probably H5, and I'm going to get into the tricky lines where my king stays in the center. But he didn't play that, so I'm just going to go on with my plan. Castles. This is normal Exchange Caro-Kann stuff. Now I chase his bishop away to E3. If bishop G5, I just play H6. If bishop E3, I play E5. And I'm not worried about the isolated queen pawn. That's what you get in the Exchange Caro-Kann. You have to play E5. Okay, let's go. Knight F3, Bishop G7, and then I want to push D4. I need to get rid of my pawn and play B6, Bishop B7, have an attack on his king. He wants to trade off the bishops. Now, I have to say I'm not sure about this move. I might just play Rook E8. I mean, I'm not equal here yet. So, Rook E8 is a developing move, and I don't want to trade off my bishop. If Rook E1, then I have to develop my light squared bishop. Rook E8 should be fine. But where do I put my bishop if I don't trade it off? Does Queen H4 work at all? I don't think so. It would work if I already had my bishop on B7. But I could try Knight G7 threatening Queen H4. Knight G7, he has to move the bishop back. The bishop has to go to E3. And then I have D4. If he plays Rook E1, then queen h4 is a trade of bishops. No. If he plays rook e1, then bishop takes h2, king takes h2, queen h4 wins the pawn. So I'm going to play that. Knight g7 seems like a very aggressive move with this queen h4 idea. He obviously doesn't want to take my knight with his bishop. And now I'm threatening queen h4. Yeah, okay. I'm guessing he missed this. So now just bishop takes h2 should win a pawn. Bishop h2, king h2, queen h4, check. Queen h4 is a trade of bishops. I don't want to do that, so let's just continue with my plan. I have a fianchettoed knight. I have to say that doesn't happen very often. Okay, he doesn't take. So my bishop needs to go somewhere where it's not on e5. Do I still play queen h4? Queen h4 seems interesting. Queen h4. He takes my knight. I can checkmate because I have rook e8. Okay, queen h4. If he moves the bishop, then bishop anywhere check should be good. If he plays g3, bishop takes g3 is check. If he plays queen f3, I take his bishop. If he takes my knight, then I have a checkmate. So queen h4, bishop g7. I want to play bishop f4 check, king g1, queen h1 check. No. Yeah, that's... Okay. Wait. Queen h4 takes my knight, bishop f4, check, king g1. I don't have queen h1. I have queen h2 check, king f1, queen h1 check, king e2, rook e8 check, king f3 is the only square, and then I have queen h5 check, but I shouldn't put my bishop on f4 because his king can then take on f4. I need to put my bishop on d6 or on c7 or on b8. So queen h4 seems like a very dangerous move for him to face. I'm just going to play that. Oh, although he has knight f3. Why am I such an idiot sometimes? No, he doesn't have knight f3 because I take his bishop, but we trade the bishops then. Is that any good? Do I want to trade my bishop off? Why didn't I see knight f3 immediately? Queen h4, knight f3, queen h6, knight h2. Do I move my bishop first and then threaten queen h4? Is that better? I'm guessing that is better, but he then he cannot play knight f3 because yeah, he can play knight f3. No, he cannot play knight f3 because I play bishop g5. So bishop d6, knight f3, bishop g5. What does he do? I'm still threatening queen h4 after bishop takes f3. So no, I'm not, because if bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, and he has queen h3 to stop queen h4. So do I just want to trade the bishops and put his knight on a stupid square? So knight f3, bishop takes, queen takes, queen h4, knight f3, queen h6, knight h2. His knight is now pinned to the king. That seems favorable for me. So I'm going to do that. Queen h4, am I missing something? Knight f3 is the only move. Knight f3. Knight f3, queen h6, knight h2. And I like his knight. Oh. This has to be that checkmate idea I had. No, knight f3 was the only move, definitely. So now bishop d6 check, king g1, queen h2 check, king f1, king h1 check, king e2, rook e8 check, king f3 is the only move. Although he could cover with the bishop or with the knight. Okay, bishop d6 check, king g1, queen h2 check, king f1, queen h1 check, king e2, rook e8 check, king f3, or bishop. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. I'm just going to play it. If he tries to block, I have this check with the queen. Yeah, that's what I missed. He just goes back. Jesus. And I have to trade the queens off. Yeah, it wasn't good calculation on my part. Not good. Definitely not good. I have to get the queens off. Have to take his bishop. Weak. This was weak. Although, how about bishop g5? f3. Okay, I have a new variation I could go for. Queen h1 check, king e2, bishop g4 check, f3, queen takes g2 check, king d3, pawn takes e3, e4 check. Okay, let's go over that once again. King h1 check, queen h1 check, king e2. Bishop g4 check, threatening to win the queen, and the bishop is pinned, so he has to play f3. Queen takes g2 check. The king only has two squares, e3 and d3. If it gets to e3, I'm going to figure out what to do. If it goes to d3, then d takes e4 check. So this should be good. Although he could play king d3 now, because my queen is also hanging. Yeah, I'm missing a lot. Zibit, thank you for the comment in advance. If you do post one, tactics. And I also missed that. But now rook takes bishop surely has to work. Rook takes bishop check. Yeah, I didn't think this was possible. Now his knight is pinned to the queen, so queen takes g2 should just win the knight. I'm sure, and I'm threatening queen takes f2. If he takes the rook, I just take with the d-pawn. Yeah, okay. It was kind of messy, but it worked. I'm going to analyze this game. I'm sorry, I don't want to rematch because this was the second game. Okay. He keeps rematching me. I hate when people do this. I don't want a rematch. It's impolite to press rematch 7 times if somebody doesn't want to play. Jesus, look at him. That's insane. I don't want a rematch. Okay, analysis board. I'm going to turn on the engine now. Let's hope everything goes well. Okay, let's go over this game with an engine. Yeah, this g6, bishop g7 is one way to play. The other way is bishop g4. I can play knight h5 immediately or after castles. I always play it after castles, knight e3. And now I don't like f6, e5. I like playing e5 immediately because I have this idea of d4. And knight f3 should be played. Bishop h6 probably isn't the best way to play now. Knight g7 was a trick, I have to admit, because I was going for that bishop takes h2 stuff. But once again, knight f3. Knight f3, yeah, just defends h2. I should have done that, and now I cannot bring my bishop back. So, knight f3, the bishop drops back, I guess. Jesus, plus 1.5. That seems a bit odd. The Caro-Kann is merciless. If you mess up the exchange Caro-Kann, then you are just going to be worse. What do I do here? Can I just play? No. Yeah, I'm definitely worse here after knight f3. But after knight g7, rook e1, I think bishop takes h2 should be almost winning for me. King h1, queen h4 immediately. Yeah, now knight f3, and I was wondering about this. Yeah, this should be better for me. Just develop and have a stupid knight on h2 play against it. But after queen h4, he took on g7, which... Okay, apparently bishop c7 is better, which... okay, now let's see where I messed up. I played bishop d6, check, king g1, queen h2 check, king f1, queen h1 check, king e2. And here I played rook e8, which is correct. And he played bishop e4, which is correct. And I should have taken... Okay, queen h5 check, not good. Yeah, just king d3. Allowing me to take here, that's what I thought. Okay, but king f1, and now we get the same thing. Queen h1 check, king e2, but there's a difference. I have bishop g4 check. And once again, if king d3 I take. If king e3, I guess bishop check is good. No, because he can return his bishop. Okay, knight f3, still taking on g2, that's weird. Rook takes e4 check, king d2, and now queen takes g2 finally. And yeah, that was over. Knight g7 was a trick. I figured since my opponent has a lower rating, I should play tricky moves. I had a one-move threat, bishop takes h2. He fell for it, and what can you do? Okay, once again, head on over to Patreon. The description, it's in the description below, the page. I'll be posting the schedule for videos on theory. And if you play any variation of these and want to play a longer time control game, I'm going to play 30-minute games to make sure it's not too long. Just post it in the comments. I want to play on September 7th. You are going to record the Nimzo Indian, this variation. And we'll say, okay, put it in my calendar and we are going to play. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you like the two games. My opponent, unfortunately, blundered bishop c5 in the first one. Then I blundered bishop b2, but then he blundered f5, and it turned out that my exchange sacrifice back was good, which I didn't see. And in this second game, I missed knight f3 after knight g7. He could have had a much better position, but he missed bishop takes h2, and what can you do? Thanks very much. Stay tuned for more chess. See you tomorrow with theory finally. The bishop f3 anti-Grunfeld coming up tomorrow. The Moscow system the day after tomorrow. Bye bye, guys.